Communication is the key to connection and influence, yet we aren't always fully heard. Sometimes, it's our unintentional habits that make our words less engaging, even causing others to lose interest. Drawing from the insights of communication expert Julian, there are 7 common mistakes many people make when speaking. By recognizing and correcting these, not only can we improve how we communicate, but we can also make others truly want to listen and value what we share. Let's dive in. Our voice is the most unique instrument we all possess. It has the power to convey emotions, inspire, and even transform a person. A single word can spark conflict, but it can also heal deep wounds. Yet, many find themselves disheartened when, despite their best efforts to express their ideas, others still don't truly listen. Why is this? And how can we ensure every word we speak holds weight, reaching the hearts of those who hear it? Julian suggests that the reason people often aren't heard isn't because they lack valuable things to say, but because they unknowingly fall into 7 common conversational traps. These errors act as invisible barriers that diminish the power of their words. Mistake 1. Speaking ill of others, a double-edged sword in communication in everyday life. It's impossible to avoid moments of frustration, disappointment, or dissatisfaction with someone around us. It could be a colleague who misses a deadline, a friend who does something that bothers you, or even conflicts within the family. At times, venting frustrations about others might seem like a way to release built-up tension. However, Julian points out that speaking ill of others not only harms the person being talked about, but also significantly affects the speaker and how others perceive them. Why does speaking ill have such a widespread impact? It erodes trust between you and those around you. When you're constantly criticizing or gossiping about someone behind their back, listeners begin to wonder, if you talk badly about others, could you do the same to me when I'm not around? This creates doubt and wariness, making your relationships with them feel fragile. They may no longer feel safe talking to you, as they can't be sure whether their words will end up being discussed with others. Gossiping is contagious, much like an infectious disease. You might be the one who starts the story, but by the time it reaches others, it could turn into damaging rumors that tarnish the reputation of the person in question. Sometimes, careless words become perceived as truth, even if they aren't. And if this pattern continues, you'll develop a reputation as someone with a negative attitude. In reality, if you constantly talk ill of others, listeners will feel uncomfortable communicating with you, and over time, they'll distance themselves. Moreover, speaking ill of others directly impacts you. It traps you in a vicious cycle of negativity. Focusing on others' flaws makes you blind to their strengths and positive qualities. Not only does this cloud your judgment, but it also limits your openness to new ideas and perspectives. Furthermore, by investing your energy in criticizing others, you leave little room to focus on your own growth and may find yourself caught up in trivial issues. It's like tending a garden full of weeds. It consumes your time and benefits you nothing. So, how can you change this habit? Julian advises that instead of focusing on the flaws of others, shift your attention to their positive aspects and constructive qualities. For instance, if you're dissatisfied with a colleague, rather than gossiping about them to others, consider having a direct conversation with them, offering constructive feedback while also recognizing their strengths. Only by viewing others objectively and without bias can you create a healthier and more respectful communication environment. Furthermore, instead of gossiping, try sharing positive stories and experiences. Inspirational tales can help you build stronger relationships with others and make them see you as someone trustworthy, capable of helping them view life from a brighter perspective. Remember, communication is not meant to weaken others, but to enable all of us to grow, learn, and understand each other more deeply. Finally, refraining from speaking ill of others is also an act of respect. Respect is shown not only through actions, but also through words. Positive, sincere words always have a beneficial impact, making you someone people genuinely want to listen to and be around. Rather than hurting others with your words, why not create a positive communication space where everyone feels heard and understood? Mistake 2. Judging others. We've all encountered individuals who tend to judge during conversations. These are the people who position themselves as evaluators, constantly offering critiques and judgments about others. Whether it's about someone's appearance, clothing choices, lifestyle, or even their life decisions, these remarks, though sometimes well-intended, can inadvertently make a conversation tense and uncomfortable. Judging not only makes the listener uncomfortable, but also causes them to feel threatened and unsafe during the interaction. When you sense that you're being judged by someone, feelings of guilt and inadequacy arise almost immediately. The listener may begin to wonder, am I good enough? Did I do something wrong to upset them? This undermines their confidence in the conversation, preventing them from freely sharing their thoughts. At this point, the communication becomes strained and disconnected. For example, if someone constantly criticizes your life decisions, such as choosing one job over another or living your life a certain way, it feels as though every choice you make is under scrutiny. Such judgments not only hurt, but also create an invisible barrier, weakening the bond and empathy between you and the other person. Julian points out that judgment is one of the most negative communication habits, causing others to feel disrespected and undervalued. When someone is always critical and never takes the time to understand or evaluate objectively, the listener will begin to feel unaccepted or unloved. And if this continues, relationships begin to grow cold and distant. However, this habit can be changed. Instead of focusing on others' shortcomings, try to recognize their strengths. Everyone has unique qualities, and acknowledging and respecting these differences fosters open and positive conversations. Don't just focus on what's wrong. Also highlight what's right, offering encouragement so others feel fairly judged and respected. One way to avoid judgment is by truly listening. When you take the time to listen to others without rushing to pass judgment, you'll better understand them and their message. This not only enhances communication, but also creates a safe space where everyone feels heard and respected. In fact, conversations filled with genuine listening and understanding are often deeper and more meaningful. Rather than fixating on others' faults, let's create a dialogue where empathy and understanding take center stage. When you do this, not only will your relationships grow stronger, but your conversations will also become more enriching and impactful than ever before. Mistake 3. Being negativity is one of the easiest forces to creep into our lives, especially when we face challenges or difficult times. We all can fall into a negative mindset when feeling tired, frustrated, or when life doesn't go as planned. However, when this negativity becomes a constant in our communication, it can damage relationships and make conversations heavy and uncomfortable. Julian highlights that negativity in communication not only exhausts the listener, but also erodes genuine connection between the two parties. When you constantly view everything through a gloomy lens, and every story you share is filled with frustration, anxiety, or complaints, those around you are pulled into a heavy, suffocating atmosphere. Instead of feeling encouraged or uplifted, they become drained and lose the excitement of the conversation. A clear example of this is in the later years of his mother's life, when Julian noticed she became extremely negative. Although it was a difficult period for her, this negative attitude affected not only her, but also those around her. Even when she had stories or memories to share, the listeners found themselves uncomfortable and unable to continue the conversation. Being surrounded by complaints, disappointment, and negative remarks made it hard for anyone to keep talking without feeling overwhelmed. Negativity in communication is like a heavy stone that the listener has to bear. When you continuously share unpleasant things, frustration, or complaints, you unintentionally build an invisible wall between you and the other person. They will no longer want to engage in the conversation, feeling exhausted and perhaps even avoiding you to escape the negativity. This doesn't mean we have to be cheerful or optimistic in every circumstance, but our words can have a powerful impact on others. Therefore, we need to manage our emotions when we communicate. One way to minimize negativity is to shift from complaining to action. Instead of simply discussing dissatisfaction, look for solutions or share more positive stories. For example, instead of criticizing work or life, find something good in tough times and talk about it. When you change your perspective and communicate in a more positive manner, not only will you feel lighter, but you will also make those around you feel more comfortable. Positivity doesn't just make conversations more enjoyable, it also helps you connect with others more deeply. When you focus on the good, you'll realize that life is full of joy and opportunities, no matter what challenges you face. So, try shifting how you view life and communicate. Positivity in your words isn't just a good deed. It's a gift you give to yourself and those around you. Error 4. Complaining. The national sport of the British, one of the negative habits Julian mentions is complaining. Not only does it lower the quality of communication, but it also makes the atmosphere heavy. He recounts a moment when he told his mother, "Today is October 1st, too," which she responded, "I know, it's dreadful." For Julian, responses like this didn't just reflect a negative attitude, but they also made the conversation difficult and uninteresting. When someone constantly views everything in a gloomy light, it's hard to listen and feel connected. Complaining about everything seems to be a habit that many people don't realize they're falling into. We might complain about the weather, sports, politics, or even small things in our daily lives. In the UK, complaining is seen as the national sport, a part of many people's culture and communication habits. However, this doesn't bring anything positive. Complaining is merely spreading sorrow and disappointment rather than spreading light and joy. Every time you complain, you not only create a negative environment, but also make the listener feel tired and reluctant to continue the conversation. A clear example is when someone constantly focuses on the things they dislike in life. This can make those around them lose motivation to engage in the conversation. Complaints turn what could be an opportunity for sharing and connection into a burdensome exchange. Instead of helping each other feel better, complaints only leave people feeling drained and lose faith in life. Julian also points out another bad habit. Error 5, making excuses. This occurs when someone never takes responsibility for their actions, but instead looks for ways to blame others. These individuals are like blame throwers, always shifting responsibility and never acknowledging their mistakes. This not only hurts those around them, but also makes communication difficult and ineffective. When you don't recognize your own faults and always blame others, the listener will feel that you are dishonest and unreliable. So, how can you avoid these habits? Instead of complaining, try changing how you view things. Focus on the positives, the opportunities for improvement, rather than just looking at the difficulties. Instead of blaming others, learn to take responsibility and find solutions. When you change these habits, not only will your conversations become more pleasant, but your relationships will grow deeper and stronger. Error 6, exaggerating, embellishing, and devaluing language. Exaggerating and embellishing are communication habits Julian emphasizes we should avoid. This involves over-adding or exaggerating events, making stories inaccurate or untrustworthy. While we may sometimes do this to make an impression or draw attention, It actually devalues language and makes communication less effective. A clear example Julian gives is when we encounter something truly amazing, something that's really incredible. But in expressing that, we might exaggerate, saying it was so amazing or it was unbelievably perfect. The issue here is that when we overuse such words, they lose their meaning and the true value of what is happening fades away. When we abuse these words, others will no longer feel their specialness. Additionally, when exaggeration becomes too much, it can lead to lying. If you can't tell the difference between the truth and exaggeration, it's easy to turn inaccurate stories into lies. This not only diminishes the authenticity of communication, but also creates distrust. We don't want to listen to people we know are lying, because when the truth is twisted or distorted, it damages the relationship and connection between speaker and listener. For example, in work or daily life, if you constantly embellish your achievements or what you've done, your stories won't remain interesting. The listener will lose trust and it'll be hard to keep a conversation going. Exaggeration doesn't just erode honesty. It also diminishes the real value of your experiences and emotions. How can you avoid this habit? Try to keep your stories genuine and simple. Instead of exaggerating, try to describe things as they truly are without adding or embellishing too much. When you maintain honesty in communication, you create a trustworthy and comfortable environment for both you and the other person. Language becomes more powerful when it's used accurately and sincerely. Finally, doctrinalism is one of the communication habits Julian mentions in his speech. This involves confusing truth with personal opinion, when someone presents their opinion as if it were an absolute truth. When this happens, listening becomes useless because you're being bombarded with a series of opinions that the speaker treats as undeniable truths. Listening to these attacks of viewpoints is like hearing the wind, unclear and meaningless. When someone presents their opinion as if it's fact, they take away the constructive nature of the conversation. If you can't tell the difference between fact and personal opinion, the conversation becomes harder to engage in and less effective. We can't listen and learn from people who are just forcing their opinions on us without leaving room for other truths or differing thoughts. That's why presenting strong opinions without solid grounds will make the listener uncomfortable and distrustful. This applies not only to personal conversations, but also to important discussions in work or life. When someone presents their opinion as a fact, it can make others feel imposed upon, or even ignored if they hold a different viewpoint. Listening to someone treating their opinions as absolute truths can leave you feeling tired and dismissed. So, how can you avoid this? The best approach is to respect differences and recognize that everyone has their own point of view. When you share your opinion, remember that it's just your personal viewpoint, not an absolute truth, and be open to hearing others' views without imposing yours. Only then will the conversation truly become an opportunity to learn and connect rather than an unending ideological battle. As Julian points out, these are 7 deadly communication mistakes we must avoid to communicate more effectively and ensure we are always heard. Try changing your habits and applying these principles in your daily life to engage in higher quality, deeper conversations. Positive thinking. 4 core elements for powerful communication and creating change. Julian not only identifies communication errors, but also introduces a positive mindset to help us create impactful and powerful conversations. He believes that in order to communicate with power and create change in the world, we must stand firm on 4 core elements, which he refers to as HAIL. Fortunately, these elements form an easy-to-remember acronym, HAIL, with each letter holding profound meaning. First, Julian doesn't refer to the hail we commonly see falling from the sky. Instead, he speaks of another definition of hail, which is to welcome and praise enthusiastically. When we stand firm on these four elements in communication, our words will be embraced and praised warmly, making a positive impact on the listener. So, what are these four elements? Honesty. The first element is the truth in what you say. Being sincere and clear is the best way to express yourself in communication. Honesty builds trust and makes you more reliable in the eyes of others. Authenticity. This is the next crucial element. Be yourself. Don't try to be someone you are not, but live true to your own identity and truth. A friend of Julian's described this as standing firm in your own truth, which is a wonderful way to communicate with the world. Integrity. Do what you say and be the person others can trust. We can only build trust when we do what we say and act in alignment with our words. Love. This is not romantic love, but the love and care for all people. When you truly wish the best for others, you stop judging them. It is love that calms negative thoughts and helps you become a more positive communicator. The combination of sincerity and love is necessary to avoid unintended judgments, making communication smoother and deeper. That's why a truly powerful and impactful conversation relies not only on what you say, but also on how you speak, feel, and connect with the listener. Julian Treasure also shares that communication is a powerful tool, but very few people unlock this toolbox. When you stand firm on these four elements, your words will become powerful and genuinely create change. Try applying these elements in your daily communication, and you will notice a significant difference. Julian Treasure has shared powerful tools that can enhance our communication. Not only does he talk about the fundamental principles, but he also encourages us to explore and apply specific techniques to make our voice more impactful. Let's explore some useful tools he shares. One of the first tools is register, the process of adjusting voice frequency. This is how we can change the way we speak to create a stronger impression. For example, if you speak in a nasal tone, falsetto, the sound will be jarring and uncomfortable, but if you lower your voice to the throat, where most people naturally speak, it becomes more stable and easier to listen to. However, to add weight and authority, you need to adjust your voice to the chest, where it becomes fuller and more powerful. This difference can create a strong impression of confidence and power. This also explains why we often hear politicians with deep voices, as we associate a low voice with power and prestige. In addition to voice adjustments, Julian also emphasizes an equally important factor: timbre, or the tone quality of your voice. This is how your voice is perceived when heard. Studies show that we tend to prefer voices with warm, smooth, and expressive tones, similar to a cup of hot chocolate. But if your voice isn't naturally like that, don't worry. You can improve your voice's timbre by working with a vocal coach or practicing breathing and posture exercises. Small changes in how you use your body and breath can make a big difference in the timbre and feel of your voice. Finally, Julian emphasizes the importance of prosody, which is the use of pitch and rhythm in speech. This is the element that creates the rhythm in communication, like a song, where the voice rises and falls, gently or strongly, to convey meaning effectively. Prosody makes your message more vivid and understandable, helping the listener sense the emotion and intention behind each word you say. He argues that if you speak without changing your rhythm or tone, the listener will find it hard to pay attention. A monotone voice will make the listener feel tired, which is why the term monotonic exists. If you speak without emphasis, your words will feel dull and hard to accept. He also points out a habit many people fall into in modern communication, ending a statement as if it were a question, even though it is simply a statement. This action reduces the effectiveness of your message, as the unclear intonation makes it hard for the listener to understand your intent. Pace, speed of speech, is also a powerful tool in communication. Julian explains that we can create excitement by speaking fast, but we can also capture the listener's attention by slowing down to emphasize a point. And don't forget silence. Pausing between sentences can be a powerful tool that adds weight to your words. Sometimes, using silence at the right moment can make your message more convincing. Tone and volume are also crucial factors. A change in tone can convey different emotional nuances, from surprise to anger or anxiety. Volume also matters. Speaking too loudly can pressure the listener, but adjusting your volume appropriately can draw their attention and make them focus on you more. Finally, he emphasizes that these tools become even more important when you're in a crucial situation, like giving a presentation, proposing, or asking for a promotion. When you want to achieve something important, you must prepare thoroughly, and these tools are part of that preparation. Like an engine, to function effectively, it needs to be started and properly cared for. Julian Treasure has not only introduced powerful tools for effective communication, but also shared an important secret to help us maintain a strong, captivating voice that attracts listeners. Before beginning any important speech, warming up your voice is essential. He recommends a series of vocal warm-up exercises you can do before a presentation or a conversation with someone important. The first exercise is to raise your arms. Take a deep breath and exhale gently, making an sound to relax your body and create a comfortable atmosphere. Repeat this a few times to feel your body gradually relax. Next, move on to warming up your lips. A simple but highly effective exercise is to repeatedly pronounce BA, BA, BA. This helps warm up the lips and make your voice softer and easier to listen to. Then continue by saying BRRR as if blowing air through your lips. This is a way to stimulate the flexibility and liveliness of your lips, helping your voice become more natural and easier to receive. Finally, Julian introduces a tongue exercise by exaggerating the sound la la la. This not only warms up your tongue, but also helps you control the sounds in your voice, making your tone and delivery clearer and easier to understand. With these simple yet effective exercises, you'll be better prepared for any conversation or presentation. Spend a few minutes warming up before every important communication, and you'll notice a clear difference in how you're heard. Julian Treasure continues to introduce more fun and effective exercises to warm up the voice. One of the exercises he calls champagne for the tongue involves rolling your tongue with the RRR sound. This movement not only helps make your tongue more flexible, but also makes your voice stronger, clearer, and easier to capture the listener's attention. Finally, Julian reveals an exercise known as the siren, a highly effective technique that begins with a high-pitched "we" and ends with a low "wah." As you pronounce "we," you'll feel the flexible movement of your larynx and tongue, helping your voice become smoother, deeper, and more adaptable in tone when needed. After completing these exercises, Julian encourages everyone to stand up and practice immediately, praising their effort and progress. He emphasizes that to truly improve communication skills, we must take the time to prepare, warming up our voices before starting an important conversation. These exercises are just the beginning of developing a powerful and influential voice. However, Julian doesn't forget to make an important point in conclusion. We live in a world filled with noise and less than ideal communication environments. That's why it's crucial to enhance our ability to speak effectively and make others listen. This not only helps us express ourselves better, but also contributes to positive change in how we communicate every day. Julian concludes his speech with a thought-provoking question, inviting all of us to consider a different perspective. He poses a big question: what would the world look like if we communicated powerfully with people who are consciously listening in environments truly suited for sound? Or, if we broaden the question, how would the world change if we created sound consciously, consumed sound consciously, and designed every space to align with sound? Julian wants us to not only improve our communication, but also think more deeply about sound. When we all pay attention to sound, how we create it, how we receive it, and how we use it in our everyday lives, we can create a better world where mutual understanding is second nature. This is an idea worth spreading, helping people connect, share, and listen more deeply to each other. With this powerful message, Julian inspired everyone at the speech, urging each of us to reflect on the role of sound in communication and to be aware of its impact on the environments we create. In doing so, we can contribute to building a harmonious world where sound is not just meaningless noise, but a powerful tool for connection and transformation. So, you've joined me in exploring the communication mistakes Julian Treasure pointed out and learning how to correct them. Imagine, by applying these tips to your life, not only will you improve your communication, but you'll completely transform the way you connect and convey messages to others. You'll become someone everyone wants to listen to in your conversations. Will be deeper and more impactful. If you found these insights helpful, don't forget to like the video, share it with those who may need it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming videos. Keep watching the suggested videos below to discover more powerful and inspiring communication tips. Thank you for your ongoing support. Together, we'll build a strong community where every word can create change.